All right, everyone. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jason Levine, and welcome back to day 2 of editing and assembling a production, new feature as of April 2020 in Premiere Pro. So yesterday we kind of went through some of the basics of just kind of organizing and starting to build up the production. We're going to continue on that today and actually augment part of one of the ones that we were working on yesterday and really put it all together. And while I'm doing this, provide a little bit more context as to what we're doing. So over the course of the evening, easy for me to say, I was really thinking about, what am I trying to do with this production? What do we, and I don't know that I exactly explained that yesterday, outside of really just organizing your stuff. And I got a lot of questions on Twitter and quite a few DMs yesterday where people were like, okay, it makes more sense now, but I'm still not entirely sure about some of the things, how you labeled them, how it all works together. What if I already have a folder structure that I want? Can I somehow convert that into a production? So I'm going to cover some of that right at the top of the hour here before we get into it. So as always, we're coming to you live on YouTube, Behance, Twitter, Periscope, and my YouTube channel as well. So thank you so much for joining. If you want to follow in the conversation, that is happening over at behance.net/Adobe Live. So if you want to chat with me over the next 2 hours, that is the chat I will be following. So as always, a couple of shout outs. Welcome everyone. Hello, Tim. Our friends in Europe, good evening. In Asia, hello. Andreas, Miguel, Martin, Cody, thank you so much. Always great to see you. Matsumita, Donna, Sam Peterson, what's up? Cal, Ampere, Sonrek, Nadim, great to see you as well. And we've got Desiree and many friends coming to us over here. Bywar and R. Charney, hey, what's up? And Daniel, how's it going? And Ron, Daniel from Austria, hello. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch over my screen here. And we're going to kind of get right into it with Premiere, all right? And because we have, and you know what? Actually, I'm sorry. Before I do that, let's do the schedule because, we have a lot of stuff on the schedule today. So you're with me for the next 2 hours, of course. And then at 11:30, we once again have the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Claudie. At 12 o'clock, Adobe XD Workflows and Pro Tips with Jessica and Talon. 2 o'clock, the XD Daily Creative Challenge with Howard. And at 2:30, once again, Doodle Therapy with Alice Lee. Also worth pointing out, I was talking with some of my fellow colleagues yesterday. You know Gus, you love him here. I don't know if Gus is in the chat today, but we are planning the next video DCC, Daily Creative Challenge, for some time in, it's probably going to be around August. So we had such a really successful first outing with the first video DCC that there have been tons of requests to get involved with another one. So we're definitely going to be doing that. And we'll let you know as soon as there are more details. Just on that note, once again, before I get started, if you're looking for another avenue to talk video, to talk Premiere, Audition, After Effects, Character Animator, anything Adobe video related, I highly invite you to check out the Discord that we set up. Now, this was created back in April when we did this first DCC. Not an enormous amount of activity going on there right now because we haven't had a challenge in a while. But let me just tell you, this is a phenomenal community that we cultivated in really a matter of days. Everybody's there just to share, to learn, to express. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful for me to meet many of you, and I think the community is really enjoying it as well. So definitely check out the Discord there. And it's just another way to get sort of real-time communication and feedback if you're not getting fast enough answers via, support or Adobe Care, or if you're struggling with forums or whatnot. I used to be a big forum head, and these days, for any forum really, it's just too much. So this Discord, it's managed, it's moderated. We've got a great community and an ever-growing community in there, so I highly recommend you check that out. Okay, and with that, let's go ahead to to my desktop. Martin Sassenberg is saying, this is 100% a home office quarantine beard. Are you noticing it's a little longer than usual? I'm not going to lie to you. I thought I didn't even bother to trim shave today. So that's well timed, Martin. Nicely done. Assuming you're talking about me. I may have missed another comment in here. I don't know. Very funny. Yeah, it's getting a little squirrely on here. I got to trim it down. Okay, so One of the first things I wanted to cover today was something around, the folder, the bin organization that we did yesterday. And as a matter of fact, a buddy of mine, who I was going to actually see if he was in the chat, a guy named Ron Sussman, fellow Premiere editor here in the desert, mentioned something about, what if I already have a folder structure that I like to use for my typical projects. Let's forget productions for a moment, right? So you may have your own particular, everybody does, right? Whether you use folders, dailies and exports and renders, or however you label everything, you might have this whole structure already pre-built, kind of as a template. And then you just either recreate that, or if you've created like a Premiere Pro project template, it just allows you to very easily keep everything consistent and organized for all the various projects that you do. Well, if you already have in the Finder here, you can actually create that folder structure and convert that into a production. Yes, a little confusing, but let me show you what I mean. So I'm actually going to go to my desktop here just for a second. Let's open up a new desktop window, and I'm going to navigate to my drive here. So in this 2020 folder I have in here, and this was something that Carl Soule, my buddy, we talked about this on a recent collab stream a couple weeks ago when we were kind of deep diving into some of the tips and tricks in productions. So, and one of the things he's very, very careful about saying is, you noticed yesterday when we were doing stuff in the production, I was letting the production handle all of the file management. I was never going to the Finder to like relocate and move things. Remember we talked yesterday at the beginning about keeping the production and where you save that separate from where all the media is. It can be on the same drive, but don't put it in the same folder. That's not the idea. That's not how it works. It's basically going to be able to point to and find all of your media via metadata. So keep those things separate. But if you have a structure that you like to use, and this is actually Carl's, or this is probably some of the Hollywood structures that he deals with on a daily basis. So you can see I made a folder here called prod template dupe before using, okay? Because this is kind of the default, all right? And then basically, I would like a production where from the moment I start, I have a dailies folder. Notice we use the numerical values because again, it's going to alphabetize by default. So dailies, scenes, edits in progress, reels, and then you can have any number of subfolders in each of these. So you can see I just did like reel A through D, delivery, and turnovers. So again, this might be the way that you work in your post house, right? This is kind of how you always import media into dailies, you cut scenes, you drag sequences there, whatever it is, you get the idea. Well, with a production, you have the ability to create a production from this Finder and or Windows Explorer based template. Super cool, all right? So let's check this out. Let me show you how you do that. So when we're back in Premiere, instead of going to File, New Production, all right, we're actually going to choose to open a production, all right? So let's go ahead and choose Open Production here. I'm going to browse to that folder. Let's see if I've got it in here, and I do, all right? And, oh, in fact, here, I need to duplicate it again. Not even taking my own advice. Okay, so let's duplicate this. All right, and I'm going to rename it. And I'll just call this Shark Production. Not to be confused with Baby Shark. Okay, Baby Shark Production. Back over here. Shark Production. We're going to click Choose. And when you do that, Premiere pulls up this little dialog and it says the selected folder is not a production yet. Do you want to convert this folder to a production? Yes. So let's go ahead and convert it just like that. And now what you see is that it creates a production. And again, any subfolders, anything that you have related to all of those, it will automatically build that for you. Pretty sweet, right? So again, a lot of people, we talked about this actually back in April, some best practices for sort of Premiere workflows, and one of those things being kind of template projects. This is the same concept here, template production, where you're essentially pre-creating that folder structure on the desktop in the Finder or again in Explorer, and then you can open that up and create a brand new production with those default folder allocations even before you start. So this is super awesome just to, again, kind of keep everything consistent. You don't have to do this every time. It's just a really nice way to work. And then to get into the projects, if I just create a new project here, just leave it untitled, it'll bring in the rest of the UI. So now we're ready to work, okay? But I just wanted to show you that because that was something that Carl showed and kind of glossed over it pretty quickly. And then I got this question yesterday. So this is really very, very cool. All right, so we're gonna close this production, which by the way, you can close productions from the flyout menu in the panel itself. We can close it. We can also rename them here, which is very, very useful. Or you can close them, of course, from up here. Always multiple ways to do things. So let's go back to opening a production. And notice the shark production is in there. Notice now we've got a couple of things, right? We've been working on stuff. And let's go to this one here, JPM, Just Play Music Seasons, because that is going to be, that's the basis of what we're going to be working with today, all right? And very simple. Now, one of the things that I noticed right away when I opened this up, I'm like, I need to redo this structure. I don't really love the way that I did this. So that's one of the things that we're going to cover today and actually build up this production. And the hope here is that you're really going to begin to understand how this works. Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, did Jason look that hairy yesterday? How's he doing? These are the questions I get, right? No, I know. I'm having a good full body poofy hair day. No change. I don't know. Maybe the humidity in the desert has gone from 8 to 9%. It's that extra 1% that's doing it. I don't know. All right. Okay. Martin looks the same. Oh, that's good to know. All right. Looking fab. Oh, thank you, Tim. Looking grizzly, says Cody. Very nice. All right. Feeling grizzly, I might add. Okay, he's magic, right? Oh gosh. Okay, so again, to reiterate, what is the purpose of the production? And again, I was thinking about this last night because, I created this media folder, and in the media folder, it's not really storing media, right? So the production is all about organizing projects. And just like I was talking yesterday about the pickup patterns of supercardioid boom microphones and how that kind of relates to shallow depth of field with, shooting at, F4, F3, F1.8, whatever it is. Well, think of the production itself as basically a collection of the best projects. So while you can have, as you just saw in the previous production template, like you can have a work in progress bin that has projects that contain all of those work in progress edits and cuts and everything else. Sure, absolutely. In fact, I think that makes a lot of sense. But at a really high level, the production itself is really meant to be like, okay, this is the aggregator of really all of the best bits of all the stuff that we're working on. We can dive deeper into all the granular things. But the more that I started thinking about it, again, now I'm not creating episodic TV. So for my purposes, creating random YouTube videos every now and again, it's really a way for me to just get all of the best and close to finished elements or finished elements all together as projects. And then if I need, I can start to bring in some of those work in progress pieces. But all the while, again, I can very easily move things around and organize them. And talking about organization, and again, this is going to be nothing unfamiliar to anybody who does, a lot of production every day. I was kind of looking at how I was organizing, like this television. So this was meant to be a web series about 11 years ago. And I won't get into the whole story. It was an ill-fated series. He says, smiling while internally crying. But this was kind of the structure, and I was really proud of this, to be honest. So all of this is housed in one massive folder called Just Play Music Masters Backup, which right away, that name is very deceiving, because this was actually the master folder, and it's not just, well, I guess, yeah, Just Play Music is the name of the show, Masters Backup. So Masters Backup, I don't know. This is not the backup. This is the main thing. Whatever. And then inside of here, I don't know why I put backup in front of everything, or some of them, you can see like different episodes as I started to work on them. So many of them I never even got to. There's just a ton of loose footage elsewhere. So here's like, the first 4 episodes, the pilot, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4. And then I started to put like pieces and elements of those together. Now, a lot of the stuff was left in its native folders. So I have like some random videos here, and I can only assume that these videos, which are all meant to be multicammed, all relate to some of the talking points and the non-performance aspects of this episode. And you can see, again, this was like, it wasn't finished. So I got about 3 edits in, and then, just a bunch of rough cuts, right? So that's kind of a really simple look at that one. Now, if I look at something else like this pilot dynamics video, okay, let's actually just open that folder. So I started to do some better organization, labeling out the folders here, pilot, the different cameras that I wound up using. So again, there were 6 cameras for everything. In most cases, I think I only used 3 or 4. And a lot of that was because there was a 5D and a 7D, and then there were just a whole bunch of random video cameras. You can see one of them here was the flip. This was I was trying to remember this yesterday. I don't know if any of you remember. I can probably let you see this. So this was the one that was mounted on the piano itself, and it was just hanging there. And look, like you can even see the white screen. I mean, I wasn't even very careful about the framing here because I just assumed I would kind of cut this off or leave it just sort of raw looking like that. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just trying to get coverage, but and it's not like terrible. It's not like awful looking, but it's pretty artifacted. I think it was 720p, but like super low bit rate. I mean, it was a little, do you remember the flip camera? It was this little tiny thing, and it was like, I think Sony had a version of it called the Bloggy. This was like when video blogging, there wasn't vlogging. Vlog was not a word yet. So it was like, if you're video blogging, get a Bloggy. And it was this little camera that shot, most of them shot vertical video, which is sort of funny. This one was landscape. But, again, pretty artifacted. You can see there's like just random colors and noise and all kinds of stuff in here. But I was just kind of using whatever I had. I had a couple of consumer Canon power shots that shot video. That's where a lot of those AVI files came from yesterday. So all of that stuff is kind of living in folders. But again, like it starts to get really out of hand because I'm still pulling things from different locations. Case in point, I was telling you yesterday that all the audio was captured live. So everything is live in here. When you're seeing me do those performances, every piece of that was performed live, but I had to overdub myself, obviously. So none of the audio is here because all the audio stuff was actually contained in another subfolder in here somewhere. Actually, that might be one level back. That was just like audio masters. I'm not even seeing that here. Let's see. It should be in here. See, I don't even know where it is. I can't even find it now. None of this is audio. Maybe it's here. Here we go, JPM Audio Masters. When you look at something and you just don't see it. Okay, so here, again, fairly organized. All of the various episodes and live performances as individual sort of folder sessions, okay? And in each of these, I mean, there are many, it's just a whole series of files and session files. And, you're looking at this and, this, again, talk about saving variations. I mean, just right here, when I'm doing mixes, look at this. 5 goes all the way to E, 6 goes to E, 7 goes to C, 8 goes A mix, then A, B, and then C, and the D, then E. It looks like E is usually where I start to cut off. And I have C and D, it's a combo. C, D, it's just crazy, right? How all of this stuff comes together. So again, if I'm like integrating, and it's the same with the video edits, all of this stuff, I don't need to see all of those projects. I don't need to see all of the various sequences in each of them. The production is really there to house, at least at a high level, the go-to, the best ofs. And then again, if there are like dailies, if there are rushes, if there are just like rough cuts from the day, which I used to do. In fact, a lot of these, because they never got off the cutting room floor, are just the rough cut at the end of the day. No color, no proper sound, probably slightly out of sync. It's okay. Yes, have those elements too, because maybe you need to go back to some raw elements, an original take of something, or maybe find an alternate take. But this is kind of the old classic way of organization. And I mean, I guess it's organized, but it's also just like, it's just a mess to some degree, right? I mean, just this folder represents this one song. This isn't even video. This is just the audio portion. It's just a lot. So this is kind of what we're going to use the production here for, just to really clean things up and just make stuff more accessible, okay? Cool, all right. Pumped up the volume. Nice hair, thank you. Oh, all of you with the hair comments. What's up, Juries and Lazo and Miguel and Chris, Oraparicio and Chaos. Okay, so one of the first ones that I pulled up today was this performance here. This is, I believe, from episode 2, called Gotta Get Up. Now, this is actually a song that is available commercially on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Google Play, and anywhere else that music is streamed or sold. And I was trying to find, you know, sort of all of the various sequences and things that I'd done for this. So when I opened up and imported the project, and you can see it here. Now, again, I don't exactly know what this is quite yet. So ultimately, I'll probably drag this project into edits, maybe. I think this houses all the stuff that I need, but we're going to play around with this a little bit. So here we have a couple of things. So we have main sequence, just showing through here. Got the main sequence, a multicam, and a multi-nest. So if we go into the main sequence, I'm assuming this is kind of this is the assembly of everything. It is. And you can see, like, for the most part, the musical performances were compiled generally with about 4 cameras. And in the case of some of these, for instance, like this, the full tight kit. So this is a drum performance. Now, I don't know in this particular one, we might have to look here. Some of these I compiled. Some of these were shot with multiple cameras, like in the case of the drums, fixed cameras. Some of them mobile cameras. Some of them are just a single shot. So it looks like here, if I take a look at this here, let's see. Let's reveal this in the project. So which file is this? Okay, full kit tight. Okay. So here's this. So let's see what this is. And by the way, you'll notice, again, because I had to overdub myself. So when it was just me at the piano, I'm in like that black short sleeve collared shirt. And then I think the next day, I'm like, all right, today we're doing drum overdubs for everything. So I'm hearing myself back playing the piano. No click, by the way. Just, he had time. Good timing. Let's see what this is here. Okay, so this is just like a fixed camera. Why so light with these songs? Okay, so is there another view? It looks like they're all the same. Oh, so there was. I wound up not using this one. Okay, so this is funny. Full kit wide. So this was like, I remember I had I was still shooting Canon in these days, and I had the 16mm f2.8, and but I was trying to get a wide shot. And I thought, okay, I'll just kind of mask it off. But look at that. I mean, how I had to have it. Seeing the edge of this table here. This is my old studio. This is my old house. It's such a mess. I mean, what am I going to do with this shot? So I think I cut this in and cropped it in as an insert in like a couple of various places. So funny seeing myself in these old things. I mean, just if not the hair color, you know, the fashion too. I'm like, what was I thinking? So again, some of these are like, I went back after the fact and resynced the drum performances to make and kind of did my own cuts, right? And in the case of that, we'll take a look at this video here in a second. I believe there's some areas where, like, you'll see I just cut in, it's cropped, and it's just that one moment that I flew in just for a second as an insert, all right? Now, in the case of some of these as well, let's take a look here. I've got the bass take here, I believe. I think this is the bass take. Let's reveal this in the project. All right. Oh no, that's piano. So maybe the bass one isn't in this one. I'm not even sure. Oh, maybe not. This, I'm not even sure. Okay, so that's just additional piano. Again, that looks like one of these AVI cams. Bobbing your head to the drum beat. Nice. It's pretty tight, I'll give you that. I'm not using a lot of toms here. There's some dugga-doo. All right, so this is kind of the assembly. Now again, do I need to see this? Do I need to have this like instantly accessible to me? No. But again, the project itself will likely become part of this edit section here. And I can then take that sequence and maybe place it somewhere else, like work in progress or multicam breakdowns. And that's what I was getting into when I was talking about this media folder here. And by the way, what is this footage? Oh, this is just raw footage. So I don't know if I love this idea of a media folder necessarily, at least for my purposes, because that's not really how I work. I don't really need that so much. Work in progress, however, makes a lot of sense. So I'm actually going to make a new folder in here. We'll call this WIP Ruffs. All right. And I'm thinking even, or maybe let's rename it Ruffs MC Assemble with no E. So I can put like my multicam assemblies in there, rough cuts in there, work in progress in there, okay? So that's kind of a nice idea. And again, if I wanted to do that, which this is main sequence, we could create a new project here and drag this sequence into a project inside of this work in progress folder, all right? That makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so then we have, let's see what else. So we have this, another multicam. Okay, so maybe this is the final one that we actually worked on. And you can see I've got a whole bunch of keyframing going on in here. Now, what's interesting, I was just playing this back a couple of moments ago, and it looked like, and there's a PSD. Something's going on with that. It looked like some of this was missing. Oh, and there's the wide kit shot. So yeah, so I was like comping together. I see what I did. So here, I had the multicam with the first 4 tracks of video. And you know why I did it that way? My machine at the time, and also I don't even remember, Premiere 2011, there was a limitation on the number of cameras you could edit in multicam. So that, in conjunction with my then laptop, probably couldn't handle more than 4 tracks of mixed media multicam cutting. So I did a multicam cut, that's what the green stuff is here, of those first 4, and then manually resynced another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 performance tracks on top of it, and manually, that's why there's all this keyframing, manually dragged cut these in. That's what all of this is. I mean, that's pretty old school, right? It's kind of neat to see it though. Now I'm curious about this because this was one of those that was giving me some weirdness. So this one here, so the bass performance, this is actually recorded in my, this was done in the, I put the bass amp in the bathroom here. So it's really high ceiling, very reflective, very bright. Not that the bass performance is bright, but I wanted to fill myself against this window to give this kind of, I don't know, very, very, very typical kind of music video sort of look here. And the bass amp was in another area here, so you're not even hearing that, you're just hearing like the string noise and my tapping foot. Pretty damn good isolation, I might add. And I'm not even sure, I must have a clap or something at the beginning of this because I'm not even sure how I manually synced this after the fact. But this was like a pre-treated clip. This is most definitely Magic Bullet looks as well. All right, and then again, that was flown into this master multicam cut. All right, so let's take a look at what the actual edit looks like. Now again, for whatever reason, and I'll have to, this is something I'll do after today, but the bass performance, it wasn't in sync. So I don't know what happened. In fact, I can even see that. It slipped somehow. So I'm gonna have to put this back in sync. What's interesting is you can see that I've got these, I have these markers, which I know I was using in some of this main sequence here to line things up. So I'm probably going to have to go back and resync those. But let's take a, how about would you like to see this or hear it? Interestingly, Cody, thank you for that yesterday, posted a link to my Vimeo channel. I believe the first rough cut export of this music video, that's where it lives. And this is it. Now, again, I apologize for this bass bit being out of sync, but I think you'll still get a pretty good idea of the performance. And this is live, so let's go ahead and take a look at this and listen. And yes, it is a customized workspace. Okay, and that camera's rolling? Yep. Okay, that one's already going? Oh, it's already. Yep. All right. Oh, here, we can probably play this back at full. That's kind of cool. Maybe I'll do that. Change the whole song. This is Gotta Get Up, take 3. Gotta Get Up, take 3. Take 3. By the way, here, take 3. Here, can't really say it. Get out. Here, 3. That was, I don't remember the name of this app. I'm sure they still have them, but I didn't have a proper clapboard at the time, so I was using that. It was great. But the sound was very low, so when it would actually do the click, but it was like, it was so quiet. So that was just more for show so that we knew what take it was. We never did more than, I think a couple of the songs had 4 or 5, and that's because every bit of it was live, and there was no script. So if I didn't like what I said or how I played something, I just did it again. And then we figured, all right, we'll either edit them together or whatever. So it kind of made life easy. All right. Got it up. Take 3. Take 3. Slate. Audio slate. 1. Okay, 3 up. Okay. So this song, right, hold on one second. 1, 2, 3. So this song really illustrates all of the things that I've been talking about regarding dynamics. Forte, piano, crescendo, diminuendo, it's all here. And it goes like this. Gotta get up, gotta get out, gotta get home before the morning comes. What if I'm late? Got a big date, gotta get back before the sun comes up. Up and away, got a big day, so I can't stay. I gotta run, yeah. Gotta get home, pick up the phone, let the people know I'm gonna be late. By the way, right there. Talk about not exactly matching the grade. By the way, what is my pause resolution at here? Oh, quarter, that's why. Yikes. Okay. I mean, and again, commercial camera there, you know, very, very dangerous, overblown highlights. But I mean, commercial camera, I mean, consumer camera, not a commercial camera. So I just had to deal with it. That, you know, these cameras couldn't really handle studio lighting. But I also just realized, by the way, you're hearing this out in mono. So if you go to the Vimeo channel or listen to the Spotify stuff, you'll get to hear the full mixes in stereo here. Okay, I'll keep playing this. There was a time when we could dance until 9:45. We never thought it would end then. We never thought it would end. We used to carry on and dance and do the rock and roll. We never thought we'd grow older. We never thought we'd grow cold. But now, gotta get up, gotta get out, gotta get home before the morning comes. What if I'm late? Got a big date, gotta get back before the sun comes up. Up and away, got a big day, so I can't stay. Gotta run, yeah. Gotta get home, pick up the phone, let the people know I'm gonna be late. Oh, there it is. That's the one shot that I used. Piano. Down by the sea there was a sailor who had been to war. She never even knew a sailor before. She never even knew his name.
to town and hang with her for a couple of days. And then he'd sail across the bubbly waves, and those are happier days. But now, gotta get up, gotta get out, gotta get home before the morning comes. What if I'm late? Got a big date, gotta get back before the sun comes up. Up and away, got a big day, sorry can't stay. I gotta run, yeah, I gotta get home. Pick up the phone, let the people know I'm gonna be late.
Okay. Well, that was fun. So again, so apologies for that bass bit being out of sync there, why that happened. But I saw we just got some error here, error retrieving frames. So yeah, something wonky's going on there, but that's okay. All right, so ultimately, what are we doing here? So I've got this gotta get up project. I'm going to move this one into edits. All right, and I'm gonna rename this. Gotta get up full performance. Okay, and just expand this a little bit so I can see all my text. All right, so again, for me, now we've got all the edits in here. Now, if I wanted to do like what I was describing before, let's make a new project inside of the Ruffs. Gotta get up. Okay, I'm gonna stick this over here. And then from there, maybe I'll take like some of these multicam nests. Let's take this and drag this into there, okay? Now, what's essential about this, you can see it brings over these sequences here. It's not moving any media on the disk. It's just pointing to the media elsewhere, and it's just duping those sequences into this folder, right? And ultimately, I could theoretically take them out of this master folder now if I wanted to. But just very quickly, very easily, drag those things over. So now, under this work in progress, if I wanted like, oh, okay, where are all the multicam ones? This is what I'm dealing with here. Now I know that these are the assembly bits for this performance. So already, like, this is making a lot more sense to me. And because there's so many of these, this is going to be really, really valuable when I ever decide to put together some pieces of this, all right? Oh, Paco, thank you very much. Oh, thanks. Oh, thank you, Cody, Jacqueline Clyde, Mensa, Martin, F. Smidic, Nima, thank you so much. Oh, you're all very kind. That's awesome. Mensa, yes indeed. Jane Z. All right. Ah, thanks. I thank you. You're all very awesome. All right. So, okay. So now we've got this. I feel good about this. So now we're going to keep working here because there's more stuff that needs to be done. So while we have the episodes here, just real briefly, because I forget myself, let me go back to those master archives so that we can bring in some of the additional pieces of this. Some of this stuff, literally, I haven't seen or touched since 2011. So let's take a look at one of those pieces. There's, I think it was episode 2, Articulations. So by the way, just conceptually, this was all about the whole concept. So I don't know, it looks like I never even edited this one at all. All right, so we're gonna do that from scratch. So the whole concept of this show was to showcase to kids and parents how music brings people together and how it really makes you feel, and how, you know, with different techniques and different sounds and different chords, it does, especially in children, it can make you feel happy or sad or anxious or angst-ridden or all of these things. So every episode had some kind of musical theme. And you can see like the first one here. Oh, actually, Gotta Get Up was from episode 1. It's from the pilot, so about dynamics. And you notice how I was playing the piano and getting quieter and softer, and I did the same thing with my voice, changing dynamics. The second one was about articulations. Third one on blues. The fourth one on tempo and how, you know, tempo affects, again, how you perceive and sort of feel when you're listening to music and playing music together. So that was kind of the concept here. And all of it was, again, performance-based so that kids could see. And that's what I was talking about yesterday, why it was all shot on white screen, no green screen, totally unobstructed, is that you could actually see my hands, see my, as I'm picking or, finger plucking the bass or, drumming, so that you can really see what's happening, or that kids can really see what's happening and kind of get them inspired to be little musicians. Been trying to do that with my own kids. Keyword is trying. Haven't been quite so successful just yet. But they'll have to find it organically. That's the way that works. Okay. So because it looks like I've never done anything with this, let's go from episode 2. All right. And again, probably going to move some of this stuff around, but let's make a new project right now. And we'll call this Ep2 Articulation. All right. So I've got this project up here. And by the way, I'm just going to close this panel. We don't need to see that. And let's bring in some media to episode 2 Articulation. So I'm going to go right to that folder where we just were. All right. Let's go by name here. And episode 2. And for whatever reason, I selected only these 3, so this is what we have to work with. Okay. So it's going to import all that media for me. And all of this, most of it appears to be 23976. You can see, again, that's probably the flip cam is at 30 frames. And it's 5D and 70, so those are going to be 1920, 1080. That little flip cam is 720p. So I also I was scaling everything up. We didn't have detail preserving upscale back then, but that's okay. I mean, again, as a little insert, it's fine. I'm not super concerned about it. And we might not even use that camera if we don't necessarily need to. So let's go ahead and see what is what here. So, okay, so this is the 7D. This is the main camera. A little too close, but all right. This is the roaming 5D hands cam. Okay. And then, yep, this is the flip, which again, look at the light on here. And what am I going to do with this? All right. Well, we shall find out. Okay, so I want to just take a look here. I remember with some of these, yeah, the audio is really low. So let's see if this is going to work. I'm going to try to do an automatic multicam sync with all of these clips. I may have to do this manually. We'll see, because the amplitude is pretty low, I believe, on the flip cam and on the 5D. So from this menu, I'm going to zoom in and see if I can get to it for you. Create multi-camera source, okay? So this is a really easy way, assuming this is going to work. It normally does. This challenging footage here, we'll see, is a really easy way to automatically synchronize multiple cameras that have the same consistent live audio. So we're going to call this Articulation MC Master. So this is the way that I typically like the multi-camera or assembly. I think that's how I normally do it. Assembly. You have to assemble all your stems, right? And then you go into the multicam edit, which is one continuous nested clip, effectively. So this is going to be the assembly of all the stems. Now, there's no time code here, so of course we're using audio sync. This is something a lot of people always forget about with Premiere, that we have native synchronization via audio waveform, not unlike Pluralize. It's a little bit different than Pluralize. I believe Pluralize is doing some stretching and other things. This is literally just looking and comparing waveforms, and it usually does a pretty stellar job. Sequence preset, I'll just leave it on automatic. That should be fine. Audio, okay, 1. We're going to make this in stereo. Actually, I'll just do automatic. That should be fine. Camera names, enumerate cameras, track name, or clip name. Let's just do enumerate, and let's see what happens. And it looks like it worked. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right. So here is our multicam sequence. And here is the synchronized master right here, okay? So if I just expand this for a second here. Oops. Just going to expand my track height on the video and on the audio here. And yeah, it looks pretty good. I think we got it. Just looking at transients and things, looks pretty much in sync. Now there was the added slight challenge there. You may have noticed that the that flip cam was also, not only was it recording at 720p, but it was recording at 44:1. So you have a mix-matched sample rate, which can sometimes lead to drift issues. Of course, it's doing all this conversion into 48K, into a 32-bit float, and I'll upscale it to 1080. I'll scale to frame size so that it's going to fit. But outside of that, it looks like this worked very smoothly. Now, again, you can see how the other cameras, which camera went the longest. Looks like this one here. All right. So this is the 5D cam, 7D cam, flip cam. All right. So let's see what we got here. So I'm going to go into the multicam nest. All right. And we're going to need to go into our multicam editor mode. So I need to actually enable that button. So that's this one here. I very seldom do multicam anymore, at least for my own things. I just haven't had a need to do a multicam shoot in recent past. So let's go ahead and take this button and we'll drag it down here. Click OK on that and go into our multicam editor. All right, let's shrink this down. And it's also going to take the audio from whatever is in track 1, which, did we say, was that, oh, that's the flip cam. Okay. Well, we'll see. That's not going to be great sounding audio, but that's okay. Just see for right now. Looks to be in sync. Okay. 1. Articulation content, scene 2, take 1. Mark. Did you hear that cheap little click right there? And do our audio slate. Jacqueline Hyde, I didn't expect this to be working. Hey, you know what? It's one of those, I mean, that's why I was very honest about it. Sometimes it doesn't quite do it for whatever reason. But I'll be honest with you. Most of the time, it's pretty darn good. It really is. At least in my experiences. There's always exception. But you just saw it here. And again, 3 mixed cameras. One of them with super low audio. One of them clearly this camera, it was like completely distorted, and it still managed to synchronize it. We'll see the proof though once all these other cameras come back in. And by the way, to cut between them, because there's only 3 here. 1, 2, 3 on the keyboard, or I can just click on the individual cuts in the monitor here. All right. Let's go to camera 3. Well, once again, we find ourselves at the piano, and I'm here really to showcase articulations. And once again, articulations are really nothing more than performance techniques that allow you to change or transition between notes or a series of different notes. Now, there's lots of different types of articulations, everything from slurs to accents, sforzando, but we're going to focus on 2 of the most common ones, and just like in our previous episode, they're opposites, staccato and legato. Staccato, of course, meaning short, or as it appears when you hear it, very tight and percussive sounding, and legato meaning long, okay, or sustained. Now, what's interesting, first of all, the sync is great, right? So thumbs up for that. This is meant to be for kids. So I can tell you, when I remember when I was reviewing this, and I actually did a live review of some of this content with my buddy Fuzzy Island, who many of you have seen me present stuff on here on the stream. He's actually, he was once an educator, And I remember him saying to me, it may have even have been in this episode where I said something like, and now we're going to leverage the blah, blah, blah. And he just said, so when you say leverage, what do you think that's going to mean to a child? And by the way, I had my one son at this time, but he was really young. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess maybe they won't understand what that means. But I didn't want to talk down. I didn't want to like super simplify it. But I did realize after the fact that some of the language here, it was too formal, but unscripted. So I figured, we'll fix it in post. I don't know if that necessarily worked. All right, let's skip ahead here. I don't need to do the whole multicam edit. I wanted to get into where I actually start playing something. Dynamic articulations to really create something very cool. In this case, I'm going to touch upon some slight classical styles here, and this really highlights kind of what staccato typically would sound like. Something like this. Right? So nothing is sustained for very long. Everything is very short. That was a little surprising bit right there. Let's check that out again. Okay. And you can see, by the way, when we're in full screen here cutting this together, it's really nice. I'm in full. It's only 1080p, and again, 10 megabit H.264, but it's working nicely. Like this. Right? So nothing is sustained for very long. Everything is very short, very tight, and very precise. You can really hear each individual note. Again, take a listen to this. Okay, cool. Simple. Okay. So, cool. So at this point now, again, for this episode, we're not going to go through the whole edit here. We just did a little bit of a multicam cut so that some of you could see that for the first time. This project is now living inside of episode 2. Now, again, I didn't put it into edits, right? Because it's not done. And also, now that I'm looking at this, we're going to rename this. All right. And this B-roll, this stuff needs to get out of here. So I'm going to take this and place that there. This, place that there. And let's just take this out of the structure here. All right. Call this working sequences. And we'll give this a number because, again, it's going to, we want this kind of at the bottom. All right. So got to get up in here, full performance, JPM, full song, show intro. Nice. All right. Starting to make sense now, starting to come together. All right. Cal, oh, you remember that Clapper app? Couldn't make it useful. Yeah, it was just more for, like I said, it was really just more for kind of marking the takes on camera, so I knew what we were dealing with there. All right, so again, now I'm starting to kind of, this is starting to make sense to me. Now, one of the other elements, I'm just going to adjust this so I can have a little bit more real estate here. One of the other elements that I want in here, there are some projects where I have, you know, graphics and overlays and other things. And again, now this is probably, thinking about this now, what's up, Ben's Cruise? This is one of those areas where I would probably leverage libraries for this, unless I had just, again, some projects with like edited or composited intros and some other things like that. So, you know, in fact, I believe I have like just the standard show intro, which you can see right there. That's an edited, finished project because that intro gets tacked onto the beginning of every episode, right? So, but like the logos and some of those other things, that stuff is fairly unique. Now, as I was going through these masters here, just to kind of show you this. Now, no designer, you all know this very well, but this is one of the reasons why I love watching Adobe Live myself, is to kind of see how logos evolve. So I thought I would just share this with you. I don't think I've shown this ever before. So my initial concept for a logo for this show was to have something that had an actual record album on it, which, you know, is already old school, but I'm kind of old school. And again, because this is all like live performance on live instruments, it's kind of old school. So I'm like, yeah, I want a record album and I want kind of this bent, blobby sort of text. So I worked some Photoshop magic. It's very gutsy for me to show this to you, all right? And this was my initial concept idea. Point out again, not a designer. Not looking for props, okay? So this was my initial concept. Notice the wonderful outer glow that I also applied to this with some stock record art that I purchased. This is kind of the concept I had. It's actually not so bad, he says, making himself feel better. But this was the initial logo concept I had. Again, to be like as a logo bug to stick in the bottom there. And then that evolved over time a little bit. Rufus actually stepped in. He first created like a 3D-esque looking version of that, sans the record, and eventually came up with this. So this is actually a what am I trying to say? Editable 3D model in a Photoshop file here. So this was kind of the concept. And again, it was just that this would be kind of rotating in the bottom, you know, as the logo bug for the show. And I used that for all of the initial rough exports that I did on this. And I don't know why I was just into this like purple, yellow, red. Now that I look at that, if that were blue, this would be Sonic the Hedgehog colors. So I don't know what I was going for with this color blend here. But I passed it along to my designer friend in the Netherlands, and she created the logo, which to this day I'm still using. And it's interesting. This was made December 11, 2012, and my first version was, oh, look at that. Her version came December 11, 2012, and Rufus's proof concept was December 12, 2011. Interesting. If you're a numbers person, that's curious to me. And my first one was October 24, 2011. So here was kind of the final. She said, first and foremost, she's like, are you married to those colors? And I said, well, not really. Okay. And she goes, well, do you want it 3D? I said, no, I liked it because it felt kind of kid-like, and I really liked that initial logo. And I said, and honestly, Rufus knew that was like a temp. So we eventually ended up with this. And she, in fact, that is an actual watercolor paint stroke. Today, you could very easily achieve this in fresco, right? Using one of Kyle's brushes, you could get that beautiful stroke. You can even see like, you know, some I was going to say some noise, but it's actually just some little drips of paint up here. But this is kind of the final concept that she came up with, which I eventually, again, this was all Illustrator artwork, so it eventually got brought into After Effects. And that was one of the things I was hoping to find here today, was the animated logo bug that I just can't seem to locate for whatever reason. But it's in here somewhere, in any case. So again, like for the logo elements, these are the kinds of things that I would most likely use libraries for. And I just wanted to see, I might even have it in there already. We talked a lot about libraries yesterday, and I want to keep emphasizing that in the video workflow, because I don't think people are intimately aware enough of how good working with libraries is in Premiere. You know, again, there was a time where there wasn't a lot to do for video in libraries, but today there's a lot. So if we go under graphics, this is where you're going to find vectors. In this case, it looks like some of my downloaded, some licensed, some unlicensed images. By the way, these are some additional, so these were hand-drawn. We did a hand lettering class for a team offsite a couple of years ago. And so I drew these Just Play Music logos, basically. Kind of see what that looks like there. Let's just move this. I was photographing it there, so that's why it's kind of skewed. Scale it. Yeah, that's not bad, right? That doesn't suck. It looks very like Schoolhouse Rock. I don't know if anybody remembers that from years ago, but I kind of wanted this very 70s kind of look to it. So, you know, again, that's my limited hand-drawn illustration skill, but toyed around with that. Actually printed t-shirts with that on it. Never got around to merchandising them, but and then I think what my initial take on this is that I did some kind of a wiggle with that, and I used the wiggle in After Effects so that all of those little tiny vectors, all the little shadings that I did in there, they're all kind of moving and squiggling around. So again, it kind of felt very organic and kid-like. I don't know, you know. I was still a new dad at this point, so I was like, I don't know what kids want, you know. I still don't exactly know. Love. That's what kids want. They want love. Okay. Cal, can you export productions or libraries as text or XML or something for viewing, comparing outside of Premiere? That's a good question, Cal. So as far as exporting, so you can export, what am I trying to say? So if you have things like markers and stuff like that in your production, yes, and you can import ALE files, which contain like metadata and timecode and all these other properties for video. As far as exporting like the structure of the production, I'm not exactly sure about that. I don't believe so, but I'm gonna have to find out. So if you come back to me on Friday during the masterclass, I'll be able to answer you, or Thursday because I'm doing a session with Carl, but I'm not entirely sure. There may very well be some way to export. I'm looking in here. I don't see anything. Again, you can do markers. Of course, you can do XML and AAF. But I'm just trying to think. I'm assuming you're actually like about structure and everything. And that I'm not sure about. But you can do it with all of your marker information. And when I showed scene edit detection last week, which is a new feature that's in the beta of Premiere Pro, which allows you to, it'll automatically detect cuts in a flattened video. It'll add either cuts or markers. Those markers are time coded. You can then export all of that and add descriptions and stuff and export that as an XML or CSV file or text or I think just rich text file. So you've got some export options there, but let me find out about the what you can do as far as the production. As far as libraries go, no, I don't believe there's any of that there as far as I know. I don't know what export Jason's library, what does that actually do? Well, I wonder what that does. Oh, it's just a copy. Okay, so yeah, it's creating the cclibs file so that I could, that's kind of neat. Export the whole library, never thought of doing that. So like manually, you know, basically taking it out of the cloud and creating a compiled file. Now the question is, I wonder, it's probably just a text file, right, that contains metadata that points to all of this stuff, because ultimately all of this media is stored in Creative Cloud. So it would make sense that it's just pointing to where it lives, and that's it. Okay, so it doesn't appear that the other logos are in here. I see some people are saying they actually like the hand-drawn one best. Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, they turned out pretty cool. But I do like my friend's brush-stroked one the best. Okay, so let's bring in some more content here and keep on organizing. I'm seeing if we got any other questions here. What's up, Desiree? Okay. So that was episode 2. Let's do a new project here. Let's call this one Ep3 Blues. Now, I may already have a project for this. I'm not entirely sure, so let's see. We're going to have to reorganize it afterwards anyway. Let's see if I do. No, it doesn't appear that I do. Gosh, you know, I swore that I had... See, this is what I'm talking about. I swore that there were already timelines for some of these, and there may have been. But where they got saved, I don't know. So it looks like we're going to have to do this from scratch. Not a problem. Okay. So I'm just going to move this up here for a second. And let's go ahead and grab our content. We're looking at episode 3 blues. All right. Now, this was one of those things that Carl has talked about where, you know, talking about having alternate takes and having media in the project. So obviously, I had gone through this. It looks like I went through it September 3rd, 2011, and marked the best takes across these 4 cameras meant for sync. So those are the 4 that I'm going to import. Now, again, if I wanted to do another work in progress, or if I were looking for like alternate takes and shots, Carl talks about this. You can have a project that just has all of that media. So if you're looking for an alternate take of that 7D main camera, there's only one. It looks like there's 2 additional takes of the 5D, no additional takes of the TX1, and then 3 additional takes of some drum inserts here. So let's go ahead and import this. Now, I don't know, the drum one was most likely an overdub, so I don't know if that's going to sync or not, but let's see what each of these is, and then I'm actually going to rename these. Okay, so this is, let's rename this. So this is going to be 7D piano cam. No, 7D face cam. No, 7D front cam. Really? How many times did I have to change that? What is this? Okay, this is drums. So yeah, so as I'm listening to this, wow, so is there a clapper on here or anything? So it looks like I had Chip play on this one for me. I'm not exactly sure how this was meant to be synced. Probably with the audio soundtrack, so we'll have to come back to that one. All right, so this is 7D drum cam. This is 5D piano cam. And this is flip side cam. Okay. Oh, and you can see there's just a lot of little video glitchies. Yeah, there's one right there. Old AVI files. Oh, and that's the TX1, not the flip. Okay. I'm just going to rename that. So, you know, I always try and say, like, with video, a lot of it is just scrubbing through and finding what you need and what's going to work. It's not unlike just painting strokes here. I realize this is a little slow, but, you know, this is kind of the process. And the whole point here is we're trying to get this into a state that, you know, makes sense, right? So again, this is now going to go into that work in progress. All right, let's rename this too. Try and keep the episode names in here. Ep1, gotta get up. Okay, what did we say this one was? Oh yeah, this is just raw footage. Okay. Haha, I spent 40 minutes this morning looking for a file I know I have somewhere. Yes, right? I mean, that's video editing. It's sometimes slow and boring. Okay, so let's just take a look real quick. I want to see what I'm doing in here. This is about 10 minutes. Key of C, we have the same pattern into virtually any key. So if you can play the blues in C, you can play it in E. You can play it in F sharp, you can play it in B flat. The pattern is the same. Okay, so what I did here, now we have a couple of options. So I should be able to, without question, synchronize all of the cameras on me at the piano. So maybe I'll start with that. And then when I bring in the drums, we'll have to synchronize that to the live captured audio. Remember, at this point, we're only hearing the camera audio, but all of this was being multi-tracked live into Audition. So before we do any sync, let me go ahead and open up Audition. And I'm going to import, or let's find that blues session. All right. So let's go into, now it's not going to be in blues here because it's going to be in the JPM Audio Masters folder under episode 3 blues. All right, and looks like I had about 7 variations of this. Now I already have a mix in here, an early one from September. Yeah, so this is probably an all faders mix. So let's see what this one is. All right, now I haven't opened this up in 9 years, so I might have some missing effects. I don't know necessarily what I used in here. You can tell this is an old Audition session because everything is color-coded the same. So that's your first indicator there. All right. But it looks like this is all of that audio. 1-4-5 would mean the 1 chord is D, or the tonic. 1. Major. Huh. Okay. Okay. Where was I just saying the pattern is the same? Resolve down to the third, the major third. And we're rolling. Well, in this episode, it's my pleasure to talk to you about playing the blues. It's my pleasure. So weird, dude. Playing the blues. Yeah, okay. So this is that performance. Now, it's interesting because I don't know if I stopped the cameras, but there's like two separate things happening here. So I think what we'll do first is let's do an export of this. Now again, I'm not considering this necessarily the finished mix by any stretch. Got a lot of stuff on there. So let's just mix this down. That's time selection. All right. Now again, I would want to place this in the right sort of folder location. So I'm going to make a new folder for this. I'm not going to place this with the old stuff. To my point about you don't need everything in the same location, and new JPM exports 2020. All right, I don't need that in there. And this is going to be 7 part 1 because there's 2 bits in there. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Simone, sometimes I have this great idea in my mind, but when I create it, I notice I don't like it, so I redo it, and then change my mind again and forget where I put the recording. Right? I know it. And that's an excellent idea, Jacqueline Hyde. Make an ideas folder for such moments. I've actually started doing that myself. So, which is partly why I also keep so many variations of sessions and projects with my bizarre naming conventions for that very reason. You know, when storage was at a premium, you would get, I was very stingy with like, I don't need to do another export. It's like too much. I don't have enough space. These days now, I mean, again, rocking like, 16 terabytes right here alone. Why not? Seems like maybe you're building up more, but that's how we work today, right? Okay, so we have that now. So let's go ahead and bring that in. Bring in that element right here. All right. And let's now take that 7D, the 5D, the TX1, and that audio file. And let's create our multi-camera source sequence. Okay. And this one is going to be Blues MC Assembly. Leave everything at the defaults. See if this one works. It should, assuming all of these are the right takes. Could not synchronize one or more. Okay, so let's see what it didn't do. Oh, interesting. It somehow it didn't synchronize the audio file. What? That's weird. Okay, let's see what we got here. So first of all, let me go ahead and close these articulation ones. Don't need to see that either. And let's open this. And open that. Okay, and TX1. Again, we need to scale this up. And let's adjust that audio gain while we're at it. It's really, really hot. Implement the same pattern.
Right.
Now that's interesting. The 5D. Oh, I wonder, maybe it wasn't even, I mean, I'm just seeing there's, you can see it only starts towards the end here. So maybe I didn't have any 5D at the beginning of this? That's odd.
Happier, brighter, happier, brighter, smilier. Major and minor is largely determined by, well, two or three basic elements.
Okay, so I got to see now if I'm missing, maybe this is, again, one of those alternate takes. So this is one of those things where I don't have all that media here just yet. But now, if I just do a reveal in Finder, okay. So here I have other takes, and it looks like one of these, potentially the one right before, could have been the previous take that we need. So right from the Finder, I'm going to take this 8336 clip, and let's drag that into the project. Okay. Again, it's got pretty low audio on here. All right, so let's go ahead and bring this in and see if this has what we need. I don't know that it will. I'm going to give it a shot. So let's adjust this. It's super quiet. Let's give it about 9. We might even need more than that. And it does, in fact, it looks like this is that take. I think this is it. All right, you see? As I'm looking at the patterns here, you know, once you get, look, I think I just nailed it there, by the way. It's like real quickly. Once you get familiar with seeing audio, it's pretty simple to do manual sync. So look, I just kind of dragged these in, and it looks like they're pretty close. I think that's it. I think we got it. Yeah, I think so. And for whatever reason, it looks like the take just died there. So yeah, that looks right. Okay. So had I brought that piece in initially, I didn't know, it would have synchronized that, and you can see there's a gap. So I don't know, what was I talking about here?
Editable.
All right.
Definitely editable.
So I'm just talking. I'm not even doing anything. So if we were to now go into the multicam assembly of this, because now I have this in an additional track down here, we should, in theory, if we go back into our multicam viewer, okay. Oh, and here I need to turn this one back on. All right. Now you can see all three cameras. Cool. All right. And then one step further now is to bring in that audio file of the actual mix, because while all of this audio is nice, this is camera audio. So, you know, it's pretty loud and kind of noisy, and I don't want that. So let's go ahead and just add, I always add two 0 video tracks. Let's add 1 audio track, and we'll do it before the first one, because that's what the multicam sequence is going to take as the audio reference. Let's go ahead and choose OK. Standard should be fine. All right. And let's grab this, stick this in here. Now I should be able to, let's see if this old chestnut works. So I'm just going to, I don't want it to move. Oh, I hope it doesn't move the video file. Let me see if I lock this down first. I don't know if it's going to let me sync it if I lock it. No, I can't. Okay, well, let's see what happens. What I'm trying to do is I can manually synchronize this. I'm just curious. I want to synchronize it using this function here, but it doesn't look like it's not going to let me do that. Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. We're going to do this manually. Okay. So right again. Let's go back in here. Hearing my live thoughts. All right. Now this one looks to be a little different here. So I need to hear what's going on in this. Slate. I actually did slates on here. And audio slate. Let's see if we have the same audio slate on here. Slate. And we'll do our audio slate. Another one. All right. Now that's not the same. That is not the same. So what is this? In the key of D, we have D, E, F sharp, 7 to the 5th. Well, today I have the pleasure of talking to you about playing the blues. 4, 5. Well, in this episode, it's my pleasure to talk to you about playing. It's not the right take. It's totally different. He says. So maybe, is it something else in here? Maybe it's this one. Ah, it's this one. That's what it is. Another one. Okay. Would have found out eventually, so yes. My bad. Wrong take. Export this one. Okay. So let's do File, Export, Time Selection, mix down. What did I call that initial one there? Part 2. Okay, it's in the right spot. Okay, very good. Going all Matrix on you, right? Maybe productions will finally break me of making copies of assets just to try another variation. Maybe. Yeah, could be. Now, what's interesting is these old sessions, I don't know why, they're taking a bit of, I mean, I guess there is 10 14 minutes of exporting there. Oh, wow, I'm talking a long time. You can also see, by the way, you know, each of these episodes, they were meant to be about, I was thinking like 20 minutes. Again, this is 2011. So in my head, an episode of a program, a show, was still in that 20, 22 minute range. Early days of YouTube. You know, when you think about it today, and you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, you know, I wouldn't make 22-minute YouTube episodes, right? If anything, max 15 for the most part, and really try and keep it like 10 or 12, even though now longer videos do better and the algorithm works differently. But so all of these were meant to be about 20. So just the educational part of this, it looks like was about 10 to 12 minutes. And then each episode had about 2 or 3 songs in it that related to whatever the topic was. So in this case, it would have been a couple of different blues performances, right? Okay, so let's go back over to Premiere now. Let's get rid of this. This is not, we don't need that. No. Oh wait, no, I don't know what I just did there. Clear. Yes, get rid of it. Reopen part 2. Thank you. Drag that in here. Okay. Go big. There we go. Much better now. All right. And I did give myself the piano slates, which makes life very easy. Okay. And just spot check. All looks good. And spot check. All looks good. Now, we have the drum takes in here, right? So there's a couple ways that we can bring the drums in. Now, while you could use the synchronize, so now if I reset, so isn't that funny? Remember before it didn't synchronize the audio file? Duh, because it was the wrong one. So this would have already been synchronized had I chosen the right part of the mix. The drums are now mixed in with the audio. So it's in this audio clip somewhere, probably here, yeah. Okay. All right. So I could, in theory, take the drum performance and using its audio waveform, try and line those up. That's a possibility. Or if I want to make it easier on myself, and this is a little trick that I've done forever, you can do the same thing here. So I'm going to export the same exact piece, except this time around, I'm going to take out the piano and take out the vocal and only leave the drum bits in here. So this is purely for me to be able to synchronize the drums, the drum performance separately, all right? The audio file itself will be the same, so I can sync the two audio files visually easily. They have the exact same start time, so not an issue there. But then it'll just make it a lot easier for me to synchronize the performance of the live drums. So I'm going to do that here. And this is something which if you do live overdub performances, you know, there's so many YouTube videos now, everybody's doing this. If you have stuff that's like out of context because they were in headphones, so obviously on that camera performance, a lot of these, sometimes I'm feeding the camera with audio from the mixer, which was playing back the piano audio. In this case, I just grabbed the camera and filmed him playing drums. He's in headphones. I can't hear the reference. So this is a surefire way to make sure that it's already in sync. So we're going to do a time selection here. This is going to be episode 3 blues, drums only. All right, and let it do its thing. I'm wondering, would the usage of dynamic linking between Audition and Premiere not of an advantage? So in this case, because dynamic link currently is one direction. So in other words, if I dynamically linked this project over to Audition, If I wanted to, you know, again, I could do the sync and everything else, but of course you only have one video. You have a composite video in Audition. You would then, to send it back, you'd have to re-export new stems or a full stereo mix of everything. So at this stage, I probably wouldn't do a dynamic link. If I were closer to maybe finishing up the audio soundtrack, then yes. And the reason for doing that would be because that way, if I dynamically linked this whole master assembly, in fact, and I'd probably do it, more likely, I'd probably do it from the multicam sequence here. By dynamically linking it over to Audition, I could do all of my audio finishing, and then I could send back just a stereo mix to sit in whatever timeline I'm working in. And then again, that stereo mix becomes part of the project as well. So yeah, so I would probably use the dynamic link when I'm a bit closer to finishing the mix. Because this is just a rough mix here, I don't really need the back and forth because I'm still kind of trying to assemble. But you could do it that way. No reason you couldn't. But for this, it's probably a little bit easier just to do it manually. So, all right. So once again, I'm going to, let's make these tracks a little bit bigger. And we need to add a few more audio tracks. Let's add one video and one audio. I'm gonna put these at the end. That's all fine, okay. And it does that. Actually, we need I need 2 audio tracks. Add tracks, 1 audio, okay. And let's go ahead and grab the video here. So I want to grab Chip's video. So that's going to be the drum cam. All right. And looks like we're pretty much down here somewhere because it's just the end of the performance. And then let's go ahead and bring in the drums only take. And where do I want to put this one? Actually, I'm going to make another track here after track 1. All right. Grab our drums only. Oh, actually, what am I doing? Duh. I don't know what I'm doing. I forgot that I did it intentionally like this as the same length so that I could sync these together. Okay. So now that I have that, oh, did I just do this over top of Chip's drums? I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. I did. Okay, we got to bring it into track 8. It's very squishy. Squishy. Expand these things. Okay. You know, I was never really one for 2 monitors. I'm starting to think I need 2 monitors. I'm really not a 2 monitor person, but I'm feeling it lately. Like I need more. Okay, so now based on this, because I'm looking at the drum performances here, and you can see it's exactly the same. I just need to align these 2 here. So it looks like approximately. Looks like that's going to be our sync point. Sorry, that's going to be super loud. Adjust the gain on that. Let me solo this. there's the clean audio. There's the camera audio. Nice. And we should be in sync now. So, if I've done everything right, and I think I have, now that we have this, let's get rid of our little error here. Yeah, a lot of these old files, it's having problems with some of the frames. So, does digital media die at some point? It can. All right, let's save. Save everything here. Let's go into our assembly. And it looks like everything should be there. Okay. Let's take the solo off. Yes. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Let me know when you're rocking and ready. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right, I don't know what was happening with the filming there. That's not even I mean, there must be another camera because I'm pretty sure I have a video of this up online. I don't remember that shot being so erratic, but case in point, totally in sync. Awesome. So once again, now that we have this under this blues assembly and we just cut together this little piece, right? So now this particular project, blues, while it's still a work in progress rough, now I have quick access to this and all of the, MC assemblies and all of the elements, right? It's not finished yet. So when we do the actual finished sequence of this, that'll get dumped into our edits right here. Okay. Really, really cool. But I mean, this is more organization than I've had in this project in, in almost a decade. So, and now it makes sense. Like finding everything just kind of makes sense. All right. Cool. All right. Let's see. People are talking about multiple monitors. Yep, 3 monitors, Cody. What's up, RB? Okay. Okay, laptop plus 1 monitor is proving a big step forward for me. Also use the trackball. Okay. And my study suddenly turned into the French Quarter. Okay. All right, now we've got about 15 minutes left. So a couple things, couple additional things here. So just to kind of get back to where we once belonged. So again, working in productions, right? Now we have this very organized, laid out structure where we have lots of subfolders and things going on here, but it's starting to make sense, right? So we've got episodes broken down by, their various states, various finished edits. Now in these JPM masters, maybe I also make a project that just has like the final graded versions of some of these performances. So I'm going to make a new folder in here, and we'll call this music video finals, because this would allow me to just, again, create a project that has the finished versions of these, you know, and there's lots of them. So maybe we'll grab one more. Now I need to see actually where these things are. So now I might have these in an export folder here. I'm not even sure. So I may not find them, in which case I'm not going to worry about it. Oh, and you know, I realized I hadn't even pulled up You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. So this is one that actually is, it's also on Vimeo. It's also on Spotify. It's my best-selling and most streamed non-original single. So I covered You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. And I laugh because every Christmas it does the best in terms of royalty, but because I have to license that, you know, I'm not really losing money anymore, but I'm kind of losing money. Covering songs is, especially if they're well known, is a it's not, you're not in it for the money, believe me. But do I have the finished performances here? I see stills. I see all of this stuff. Yeah, Short Sharp Shock. That was the company. Those were the templates that I bought of those text intros. Short Sharp Shock. I wonder if they're still around. Okay. It doesn't look like I have a folder here of just the exports, which is odd because I was pretty sure I did, but maybe not. Okay. Well, I want to try this one. This is another cover song, but it was a neat video if I remember correctly. All right, give me one more second. I'm going to try and find. Maybe I have. I swear I had an export folder. Exports for licensing? No. No. Maybe. Here, wait, let's see. Date modified. I'm trying to find the last one. Okay, for YouTube. Interesting. Some of these are smaller files. All right. Let's see what this is. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a new folder. And we'll call this 06, episode 6, holiday. All right, and let's add a project to the production. All right. Hi, Ramez. How's it going? All right, Cody. Wait for it. Now, you can hear it anytime, but seeing the video, that's not going to find that everywhere. So here, I'm going to pull that in. But let's see. Where did I just go? Not to be confused with Christmas. I did a ton of cover songs in this show, which, again, word to the wise, anyone out there who's looking to do something like this. And the reason for that was I wasn't confident in my kid songs at the time, so I licensed all of these very expensive songs, which, I mean, it was, I wouldn't recommend it. All right, so wait, we've got 3D. I'm gonna go with the last one, O3D1B. All right, let's go with that. Open up that project. Again, we've got some missing bits here. Okay. Lots of effects missing. Oh, and we got to link some media here. So let's see how good my organization was. Because I need to relocate all these things. So just play music, backup, JPM, audio, masters. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. O2A. And there it is. Woohoo! Found everything. Look at that. That's awesome. Now this doesn't look like the final grade because I had done like a green cast on this, but let's keep this here. And while we're at it, it's my time. I got 9 minutes. Let's go ahead and import. Export for licensing. I don't know that this is the final, but I think it might be. Or close to it. Let's see. Yes. It has a logo. Yes, you can see it just has a slight green cast versus the one on the right. Why can't I ever get the direction correct? Anyway, in the corner up there. So let's go ahead and do this one. All right. Now, this one too, oh, why is it having trouble importing it? This is, I don't know if this is the final mix that went to Spotify or not, but this is another one of those where I think in my introduction, I'm talking about leveraging something or whatever, talking about how this song uses diminished chords. So it was kind of a little too advanced, you know, for a kid, but that's what it was. So I never changed it. And ultimately, like the holiday episode, all these episodes, they never came out, but this video exists on Vimeo and it might even be on YouTube somewhere. I can't remember if it's on my channel or not. All right, let's take a quick look at this. Yeah. And again, Dr. Jekyll and Hyde. So this is, again, doing this, I'm finding this stuff because it's been sitting, it's cutting room floor for years. So what's amazing to me, though, is how good the locate in Premiere. You saw all of that media was offline. Finding that one mix that was, you know, embedded 7 or 8 folders deep, and it just relinked everything. So that's one of the things about productions, too, and that's why Carl stressed it to me, and I'm stressing it to you. If you're going to be working in productions, and like I could have just easily, oh, let me put that into a new folder and blah, blah, blah. Don't be moving stuff around in the folder or Explorer if you've already brought it into the production. Once it's in the production, let the production handle, again, as you drag and move things around. But don't change like physical locations after the fact because the production is going to get confused. Whereas if you just kind of leave things, even if you need to relocate structure-wise, it should be able to kind of do all of that pretty easily. All right, let's see what we have here. Well, here we are at the piano, and I can't tell you how excited I am to play you this next song. This next song for this very special Christmas episode, absolutely, well, it's just my all-time favorite Christmas song. Christmas is not the same without this one. And the best part is that this leverages a lot of the techniques and things that we've talked about in previous episodes, specifically leveraging not only major and minor keys, but you're going to hear a new one in there known as the diminished chord. And the diminished chord is really dark, really mysterious sounding, and it really sets the mood for this song, my all-time favorite, done in the traditional style from the original 60s era film, You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. Oh, and you know what? Hold on. Before I play it for you, I don't know if this is going to work. Hold on. I'm going to make a change. Just real quickly. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. Here we go.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. are a he. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black pea. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an Andy hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I'd take the seasick crocodile. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, wasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The three words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote: stink, stank, stunk. You're a rotter, Mr. Grinch. You're the king of sinful sots. Your heart's a dead tomato, splotched with moldy purple spots, Mr. Grinch. Your soul is an appalling dump heap, overflowing with the most disgraceful assortment of deplorable rubbish imaginable, mangled up and tangled up knots. You nauseate me, Mr. Grinch, with a nausea super nos. You're a crooked, jerky jockey, and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. You're a three-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich covered in arsenic sauce.
And there it is. Yes, Tracy Lynch Sanchez. She was my amazing licensing attorney who handled all of that. Super fun. All right. Well, so now that we've got this, again, we're pretty much done here. So because we have music video finals in here, I'm going to create a new project. I'll call this Grinch. All right. Stick this up here. Grinch Multicam Master Grade 2. Stick that sequence in there. Okay. So now we have the music video final for this organized as its own project right here. So what that means again is that when I open this production back up, I don't necessarily, like, it's going to open up all these elements here, but it doesn't necessarily need to load in all the cameras, all these multicam, all this additional footage. until I'm ready to use it, because I'll have access to all of these things here. So, when I open up that project, that's when it's going to access that media, and only the media related to that project, which in this clip is that finished, finalized, rendered take. All right? Keeping things organized. This is so cool. Like, I can't wait now to actually go through this. We're on shutdown next week, so I'm probably going to spend a lot of time doing that. But I do thank you for joining me. Hopefully now Productions is a bit more clearer. Coming up next, we've got Claudia doing the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. So until then, have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you again next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.